This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2390. 5 Steps to Begin Saving for Retirement in Your 20s by Tiffany Aliche of the Budgetnista.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. This is the show where I serenade you with the sweet sounds of personal finance knowledge from some of the best blogs on the planet, with the author's permission, of course. So with that, let's get right to today's post as we optimize your life. 5 Steps to Begin Saving for Retirement in Your 20s by Tiffany Aliche of the Budgetnista.com. How do I begin to plan for retirement in my 20s? It's a great question. In fact, it's the second most asked question when it comes to early retirement planning. Here, unfortunately, is the first most popular question. Why should I start planning for retirement in my 20s? Why? Because it's your younger self's responsibility to take care of your older self. If you don't, there's no guarantee anyone else will. The earlier you start, the sooner you can get your money working for you. Your 20s is a great time to start because this is the time in your life when you can afford to put away a large chunk of your income. I'm in my 30s now, and I remember how inexpensive life was way back then. I had a roommate, no cable, and a beat-up little car. Life was good. Okay, life was cheap. Many consumers in their early 20s are often single, child-free, and are joining the adult workforce for the first time. This means an adult income without the financial responsibilities older adults enjoy. Here's why you want to start saving for retirement now. The earlier you begin, the better the chances that you're going to be taken care of when you're older. Retirement may seem far off, but it will be here sooner than you think. 5 easy steps. Here are 5 easy steps many 20-somethings can take to save for retirement. These steps are courtesy of my frugal friend Jason Bushy of creditnet.com. Number 1, max out your company's 401k matching. If your company offers 401k matching or something similar, it's important that you max out the percentage of your salary your company is willing to match. Whether it's 4, 5, or 6%, your company is offering you free money for retirement. Take them up on it. In fact, take them up on as much of that free money as you can. I shudder to think how much free money I missed out on by putting off my 401k. Don't make the same mistake as me. Walk into your HR department right now if you need to. Seriously, I'll wait. Number 2, make paying down debt a priority. If you've never heard of the snowball effect of debt, it's essentially the way in which debt can snowball because of high interest rates. Basically, it just amasses into one giant ball of debt that's seemingly impossible to pay off thanks to interest. Whether it's your car, your student loans, or your credit card bill, the longer a debt sticks around, the harder it is to pay back. Speaking of debt, number 3, avoid bad debts. I read a piece in Time recently that explained that 20-somethings owe less than the generation before them, but unfortunately the debts we do owe are considered bad debts rather than asset-building debts. Credit cards, auto loans, these are considered bad debts since they don't appreciate in value. Keep your credit card debt at 0. Use the bus or train to get to work if possible, and avoid as many bad debts as you can in your 20s. Again, you'll save on interest while keeping the amount of outstanding debt in your name minimal. Number 4, get frugal. This one's a given, but we all need the occasional reminder that $1 saved is $1 earned. Like I mentioned earlier, the time to live cheap is in your 20s since there are fewer expenses to keep up with, and often less bodies depending on you as the breadwinner. You could create a budget and stick to it pretty strictly, or you can make some general cutbacks and see where it gets you on a month-to-month basis. No matter how organized or unorganized you wish to go about it, making more out of less by getting frugal is one more way to save for retirement in your 20s. And number 5, set some goals. Where would you be today without goals? I know the goals I've set have pushed me throughout life, from making the basketball team to getting into college and ultimately moving across the country. Without goals, I'm not sure I would motivate myself to strive for more. The same is true with saving for retirement. It's pretty hard to calculate how much you'll need for a retirement that begins 40 years from now. But setting up some monthly goals, like putting away $100 a month to your 401k, can organize your savings and make your savings standards simple. Did you know? You might be thinking in order to retire, you have to be super frugal now. Not so. According to a Retiree Next Door survey of 500 successful retirees they interviewed, 65% spend enough to live comfortably, 35% live frugally, and less than 1% said they spend lavishly. That means you can enjoy your life now and still save enough for your life after retirement. You just listened to the post titled 5 Steps to Begin Saving for Retirement in Your 20s by Tiffany Aliche of Budgetnista.com.
This episode is brought to you by Google. Cyber attacks on critical infrastructure threaten essential services. That's why public institutions like schools, hospitals, and government agencies across the country are partnering with Google to keep their data safe and secure. Because when organizations run on Google Cloud, they're defended by the same AI-powered security that protects all of Google. Explore how Google is keeping more Americans safe online. Visit safety.google/cybersecurity today.
I think a great reason to start saving for retirement early is because when you start young, you have to save a whole lot less money than if you start when you're older. The reason is because when you start young, compound interest gets to do most of the work on growing your money. Compound interest needs time in order for it to work its magic. That's the secret ingredient. The more time you give it, the less money you need to give it. It's not impossible to catch up if you're starting late, but it will likely be more uncomfortable for multiple reasons. Someone who doesn't save 5 to 10% of their income in their early 20s will need to save more like 50% or more of their income in their early 50s. But because you have decades of an ingrained lifestyle and spending habits, making that shift from spending to saving will be challenging. Much more challenging than learning to invest a small percentage of your income when you're making a lot less money in your 20s. In your 50s, you'll likely need to make some lifestyle changes, like downgrading your home or moving to a lower cost of living area. The bad news is that there's no way to speed up wealth building when you're older. The only lever you really have left to pull when you don't have the time lever is the savings rate lever. But the good news is that it's possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. That brings us to the end for today, though. Thanks so much for listening all the way through, and I'll catch you tomorrow on our next episode, where your optimal life awaits.